Okay, welcome all of you. I propose that we are now going to make a start with the Fire Projects Day. Actually, it's not a day, it's afternoon, of course, but we are very happy that the fire projects are going to be presented here, especially the new ones. We thought, because of the Information Day tomorrow, that it would be a good opportunity to inform the new projects about fire, about the community, about the facilities, the portfolio, and that we discuss a little bit the issues that they bring in their projects that they work on, and also the expectations they have regarding the fire community. And we also might have potential interactions, potential collaborations across the fire community. In the agenda that we have distributed is such that we are going to present the fire program shortly by Timo Lanalampi, who is there on the right. And then we would have short presentations of the new fire projects that would include a number of steps, a number of integrated projects and support actions. And then we have time to discuss the issues that are brought up by the new projects at the end of the afternoon. So I hope for an interesting afternoon, a very lively discussion also. And I would now like to invite Lannis to start with your presentation of the fire portfolio. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Hans. And as I can't be so short, so then maybe it is better to make it so that I will show you 1 minute, 29-second fire video, and then you will get there feeling that what is fire all about and what is fire offering there. And then we go more in details slides. Let's hope that this works.
The Internet is the fastest developing phenomenon in history. 40 years of its existence have massively influenced lives and continue to shape the future, one innovation at a time. Professional researchers around the world are working on making it even better, but they face similar challenges and often build similar solutions based on similar technologies. This means we are reinventing the wheel instead of moving faster towards the future Internet. Here's a solution: future Internet research and experimentation. FIRE is the opportunity to jointly develop potentially disruptive innovations for the future of the Internet. It's about collaborative research and sharing existing test facilities. To make the Internet of tomorrow better, visionary researchers can now work together much more easily, share their knowledge and ideas about future technologies impacting our daily routines. What's more, innovation needs experimentation. FIRE makes it possible for individuals, research groups, SMEs, and large industries to use test facilities in different countries. Booking a slot is just as easy as a click. Use this opportunity. Your research institution, your startup, your university, your passion. Join the movement and discover the benefits of collaborative experimentation. Get involved with FIRE at ict-fire.eu and accelerate your future Internet research and innovation.
All right. So as you saw in the video, we have those two dimensions. First of all, fire research, and then we have fire experimental facilities. But on top of those two layers, if we can call those that way, we also have there a third layer called coordination and support actions. As we discussed this morning in the fire board meeting about those that and how we could work together in the fire board. So not to go too much in details, later this afternoon we will hear interesting presentations about new Goal 10 projects, but just to mention about those coordination and support action projects like Amplifier, we are working there. They're more in a fire strategy, vision, then we are supporting all fire projects on this side. We are making fire brochures, for example, Then we have ECIAO. They are working in China, or actually linking China and FIRE together. Then we have Fusion, that is working with SMEs, getting SMEs involved in FIRE. CI FIRE, you are working there. Milon knows much better that is working with IT labs, creating connections and cooperation on that side. And then we have CFIMS Connect. If I remember correct, they are working with the Future Intent Forum and those kind of things. Then we have these experimental facilities, and not to go too much in details, I'd like to just highlight here that those, let's say, technology or working areas. And this kind of picture is really important, that when we start to discuss with people who have no idea about FIRE, never heard about FIRE before, but are willing to start to work with FIRE projects. And the first question they will ask is that, okay, are those projects working in wireless, wired, cloud, and those kind of things? With this overview picture, it is easy to recognize that, for example, Fed for the Fire, working with Fire Federation, we have their cognitive radio, we have their LTE, long-term evolution, and so on. And what is really important, I would like to highlight in this picture, we have there two projects marked with a star, Ophelia and Bonfire. So obviously those projects have been finished, but they are currently offering open access. So Michael Boniface can tell you much more about Bonfire, what they are doing there, and so on. But it is really important for FIRE and FIRE sustainability that basically that offering continues. And basically on Bonfire website and also on Ophelia website, you can easily find out terms, step-by-step instructions, how you can get involved and how you can start to test cloud services and open flow technology-based services and networking protocols. Okay, this afternoon I believe we will hear much more about underwater sensors from Sunrise, and then I don't know if Flex also have a presentation about long-term evolution. Then also I would like to use opportunity around this, call this as a workshop, to collect information from you. So basically, I'm the guy who has been spamming FIRE projects and trying to get information for the FIRE brochure, also for this so-called FIRE heptagon on the left side. And I will circulate these two documents. First of all, this FIRE heptagon, that is basically describing different kind of technology areas for both FIRE facility projects and FIRE research projects. So we can see there the FIRE facility projects, and as discussed already this morning, so that's what FIRE is basically working in all these areas. So basically open lab needs to be located also in the middle. And of course, CSA projects, they are typically supporting all FIRE projects. They are there in the middle. And I would like to get feedback from you that you check this picture and make corrections, proposals for this, that we can then collect information right away. I have got a lot of feedback from you, from other FIRE projects. Thank you about that. But now we have also, let's use this opportunity to to finalize this document. And it will be then part of the coming fire brochure, ready for via Athens, and then also it will be on the fire web, of course. And in this picture, we also tried to show or describe connections between fire facility projects and fire research projects, but it seems to be quite complicated to have, for example, all these. Where is the research projects really linked to facility projects? So maybe this kind of picture describes it much better. I will circulate also paper, so please make your corrections, if any. Then the fire test beds. Think about XIPI repository, xipi.eu. You can find there a lot of test beds currently, if you remember correct, around 230, 240 test beds altogether. And we have there now around 45 fire test beds. So I will circulate also this kind of table where we have listed all those fire test beds currently visible in XIPI repository. And then we try to create a link between individual test beds and fire projects. And then, of course, thinking about access model, that is that test bed, individual test beds, available for everybody, or is that available only for project partners? We also would like to see that kind of overview there, that how open each test bed is. And not to spend too much time on this, let's say, overall topics, I would like to hand over to next speaker. So most important place where you can find information is the fire website. Now, if you have your smartphones ready, please take a picture about that QR code and go with your smartphones to the fire website. And also we have then a single contact point, contact@ictfire.eu. But now, next speaker, please come and continue. Annika will go then more with those new projects.
Okay, thank you, Timo. For those who don't know me, I'm Annika Stellström, engaged now in the Amplifier project, and I'm working a lot with the collaboration part of FIRE. And as you heard from Timo, FIRE is really a moving target where people and organizations are coming, testers are joining, and there are new use cases coming in through the straps and so forth. So we have a very important role to fill when it comes to joining and coming in with new relations for this. And today, I'm happy to see so many of the new, called 10 projects. Actually, you are not that new, but you are new for the rest. And this slot will now be given to the new projects, and 8 of them are here, 8 of 10, and they will present what they are planning to do. And the main purpose is that we will try to find out what are the collaboration for the future between the new ones and the existing ones, the older ones, but also to look into what are the common issues that we could take further by working together. So first speaker is coming from Sunrise, the water. Please, Jara.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'm Chiara Petrioli from University of Roma Sapienza, and I'm the project coordinator of Sunrise. It's going to bring the internet underwater, building the facilities and technologies for the underwater Internet of Things. So a couple of words on our motivation. Why it's so important to have that monitoring and control capability that we have in the terrestrial world, also underwater, because actually the marine world covers 7% of the Earth's surface, provide us food. It's a very important aspect of our economy. Almost half of the population live 100 kilometers from the coast, and it's not something that just happened. It is important for us, and our lives are intertwined with the health and wealth of the marine environment. So the future of mankind is really tied to the controlled exploitation of the marine environment. Still, we know actually the marine environment less than we know the Moon or even Earth. So there is a very strong need to be able to monitor and control the underwater environment. And what we postulated that thanks to advancements in the last 2 years in the field of Internet of Things, in the field of underwater network, underwater communication technologies, underwater robotics, we are now at the right time to make the Internet of Underwater Things happen. So bringing that level of accurate, pervasive monitoring that we are able to have in the terrestrial world also there to monitor and control and enable a sustainable use of the marine environment. So the Sunrise objective is exactly this, to be the enabler for the Internet of Underwater Things. And this requires on one side that we address some technical challenges to go beyond what underwater networks can do today. And so this is also based on a new concept of software-defined open acoustic models, software-defined communication stack that allows to have adaptive yet integrated heterogeneous underwater networks. And also requires the ability to test novel solutions, novel technology easily in a variety of different marine environments. And this is because lakes, ocean, Mediterranean are completely different environments, and you may believe that something works when you do an experiment in one environment and it's not in another environment. So how do we realize this enabler? Developing this software-defined operating model, software-defined communications, developing tools, a tool chain to enable fast use of our federation of deployments. So going from pre-deployment tools to tools that allow to go from simulations to testing in water in a completely trusted way, to tools to actually manage and control the experience. And we've also are federating a unique number of different underwater in-field deployments, testbeds, that we are also making permanent. And these deployments, these testbeds, actually span all different relevant underwater environments, from the Mediterranean Sea to the Atlantic Ocean, to the Black Sea, to lakes and canals. They will be remotely accessible by users, and that we will actually provide different views of the systems, different categories of users that we have identified in these first months of the project. Sunrise started September 2015, will last 3 years, and we will have open calls, 50% of the budget after 1 year, so starting from next summer. So what are partners involved in the project? University of Aurora Sapienza, project coordinator, and I'm serving this role. Then we have a core group of partners that are sharing these facilities. There is the NATO Center for Marine and Research Experimentation in La Spezia, Italy. Next, which is a system integrator company in Rome, Italy. Then Eplogics, an acoustic modem producer in Germany. University of Twente from the Netherlands that will allow also to monitor, those areas, canals, dams. University of Porto, Suasis, which is another company in Turkey that produces transducers and underwater monitoring systems, and also have an international testbed brought in by Sunny Buffalo. So what are the challenges behind Sunrise? many, and I actually only summarized those that are among the key ones in this slide. We have to change what we're able to do with systems. They're typically legacy systems. You do not even have interoperable devices. They're very expensive. So we have an idea that it's a kind of open disruptive innovation with this project, where we want to change a bit the business model, and having this concept of software-defined acoustic modem, the possibility to control and change the load of modules that today are legacy. This, we are going towards the process of further standardization of this concept through NATO, the software-defined open acoustic model, which means that we are defining where some modules that are open actually coexist with some legacy models at the different levels. There is a level of interaction among the different layers of the protocol stack, and this led one very interesting model to develop, because this is a system that operates in a very tough environment where you have disconnections, you have asymmetric links, you have very challenging conditions, and understanding how to adapt, make a system reliable, even if the channel, the underwater environment is not, is what will be in those red boxes, which is developing. Also, people will be able to test decision models on how to change dynamically the way the system operates. In terms of, so this has to do with what I do in the software-defined acoustic model, software-defined communication model. In terms of tool trace, a major challenge is that there are not available accurate yet simple channel model, and this prevents from an accurate estimation of this kind of system. And this we will address with testing the different models, also using in simple characterization of the different environments and measures we do of the quality of the channel with the channel recording and replaying approach to be able to see how things would go with the different software simulations. We're also using lab characterization of testing solutions in addition to deployment. We have developed a lesson on the framework for simulation in test. We have an emulator that will generate the different panel activities, and as part of the tools, we are developing tools for fast reconfiguration and monitoring of the input space. The data API is what's closer to the other project. It is the components where all the different flows coming from the test are integrated, processed, and presented, and it's also the tool that deals with use application authorization of accounts, doing what different experiments, allows easy configuration for different views to different kind of users, and it will be the components that we are currently implemented for which we're following Fed for Fire activities because we want compliance with Fed for Fire. So there are different, as I mentioned, tests covering the different areas, and I have basically to finish. So simply there is a, and some are more underwater robotics, some will have a larger number of new modems so that you can play with also physical air aspects. Some are larger networks, some are smaller networks, and the different environments that are relevant in this application domain. So these are my contacts. If you're interested or you want to see some videos I can show, you know, also of our preliminary experiments, please come to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiara. Interesting to hear about Sunrise. So next speaker will come from Flex and SmartFire, Nikos Makis. He will cover two products. Okay, choose which you want to start with.
So hello to everyone. My name is Nikos Makris, and I'm here on behalf of the project coordinator of the Flex and the Smart Fire project, Professor Lemos Dasioulas in University of Thessaly, Greece. Concerning the Flex project, Flex stands for LTE testbeds for open experimentation. The objectives that the Flex project has are to extend fire resources with LTE, expose the commercial resources that are going to be used in the project to the experiment in a user-friendly way and in a configurable way, completely integrate the sensors built by the project with existing fire facilities, build mobility functionalities over our testbeds, and finally provision an open for experimenters facility and organize 2 open calls for experimentation with the resources. The consortium is comprised from University of Thessaly, who is the coordinator, iMinds in Belgium, Siran, a company in UK which is providing us a commercial EPC network, IP Access, another company in UK who is providing us with LTE access equipment, Euricom, who is building open source access and core network equipment for LTE, Cosmote, the leading cellular network provider in Greece, and we have 2 international non-funding collaborators. One is Rutgers University of New Jersey in United States, and NICTA from Australia. Flex's contribution will be to develop operational LTE testbeds using 2 approaches. One is based on commercial equipment provided by the industrial partners of the project, Siran and IP Access, and one is using open source components that are developed by Euricom. LTE software and hardware will be fully integrated in the control and management frameworks of existing testbeds, and RF emulation and mobility frameworks will be developed in the context of this project. Finally, the open calls will aim in experimenting with the new facilities and providing feedback to us so as to enhance them. The testbeds that are in the consortium are the NIS testbed in Greece, provided by the University of Thessaly, which is going to establish one LTE extension based on both commercial equipment and open source equipment. Mines in Belgium who are going to extend themselves using the commercial equipment of the project, Euricom with the open source equipment. Finally, we expect that from this project, cost-efficient experimentation with LTE resources will be made available to the vast research community. The end user will be able to interact with the real 4D world. The monitoring technique developed in the project, we are going to collect measurements concerning quality of experience of the users. And by the experimental version of the new protocols, the ideas, we hope that we will actually, these tests will lead to 5G protocol, and finally make a broader use of the fire facilities. This is a project website. Thank you. If you have any questions. Actually, the project has just started. 2 days ago, we had the kickoff meeting, so the website might be under construction. Shall I proceed with? Okay. Or should we go? The next one is the STREP project. So, okay.
Maybe for finding the presentation, do you have an open call? I believe that you will have this here open call. Can you Can you tell us something about the timing, and the same for Sunrise? Assume you will have open call. That if you could tell rough time plan for know in advance that.
The project has started from this January, so
The button there, microphone.
okay. The project has started from this January, so the open calls are programmed to take place one at month 6 and one at month 14 of the project. So that user feedback early projects and enhance the provision services.
We will have two, and this one will be launched next summer. So it will be after the summer, and so it will come later with respect to the Flex open core. The other thing I can say about Sunrise is the following: we already exploited the fact that we were exhibit City 2013 to actually create a community of interest people. So we have a newsletter, and it's possible to go to the site link, and you will get all the information about the open calls and activities and opportunities. Thank you.
Okay, so concerning the SmartFire project, this is a project, and University of Thessaly is coordinating this one as well. It is actually a collaboration project between Europe and South Korea. The objectives are to create a unified mental facility that's spanning two continents, and incorporate the SDN research that is conducted primarily by the South Korean partners and the wireless networking experimentation from the European partners. Federate the two consortia, the tests that are provided by the two consortiums, and demonstrate the potential of the federated facility by conducting large-scale experiments, and finally the collaboration and know-how between Europe and Korea. The consortium is comprised of 11 partners. 5 are Europeans, 5 are South Koreans, and we have an international collaborator. University of Italy is the coordinator. From the European partners, UPMC, iMinds, University of Murcia in Spain, and Sigma Orionis, a dissemination company, are in the European consortium. And for the South Korean consortium, GIST, KISTI, KAI, ETRI, and Seoul National University are comprising the consortium. So this is the timeline of main activities. This is a 2-year project. What we hope that we'll get at the end of the project is that SDN resources will be fully integrated with existing control and management frameworks of wireless testbed, so as we can easily conduct experiments involving both sources and federate the South Korean and European testbeds using high-speed research network. The testbeds that are part of the project are the NITOS testbed, the University of Thessaly, iMinds is a testbed in Belgium, and testbed in University of Murcia. And we have 5 more testbeds in South Korea, WN at KAIST, OpenFlow at Tyne, and Sigma at GIST. ETRI and SNU testbeds, and finally the KISTI Creonet EMIB facility. The targets of the project is that we hope that we will deploy a new control framework and operate it at South Korean testbeds and enhance it in the part of the European testbeds, create the South Korean and European testbeds, develop local and federated technology pilots using two real-life scenarios, one based in video streaming application and one in an Internet of Things use case. We're going to organize two project fora, one in South Korea by the end of the first year and one in Europe by the end of the second year. And broader dissemination of results in order to foster wide adoption, going beyond tested frameworks if appropriate. And finally, collaboration between Europe and South Korea. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikos. Först om Doming. No, you had your computer. Yeah.
There is a small chance this might not work at all. Yeah.
Can you just mention to the IP that are planning for open course that for previous open course we have had support action that has helped up in dissemination. So the support action can really be helpful there. That is also why Lanis asked for data. So if you want to see how we can also support you on that.
Also, does SmartFire have a website? I can't find anything. Wait.
We had it. It was in the presentation. No, it was in the logo.
Okay. Google doesn't know it. So what? I think
under construction.
So my name is John Demang. I'm the coordinator of the Forge project. So I'm doing this from my tablet, so I'm going to try and give a quick demo. So first I'll start with the motivation and goal of the project. So there's a lot of hype around MOOCs. MOOCs are very exciting. We had headlines such as this a few years ago: universities are about to die, MOOCs are going to take over. So that sort of hype died down a bit, but still there were lots of headlines. For example, this came last week in UK in Wired that the UK government is considering using MOOCs. There is still this possibility that MOOCs will change higher education in a fundamental fashion. And there are a lot of big players, MIT, Stanford, Harvard, are all in the game. So Forge is a project where we're looking to link FIRE to this new e-learning landscape. So the benefits of FIRE are that we may see an increase in take-up. FIRE becomes not just a research facility, but an education resource for higher education across Europe, across the planet. From an e-learning perspective, they may benefit from giving students access to the tremendous facilities that provides, also the methodologies and processes associated with experimentally driven research may be valuable for teaching students. There are others as well. So the approach that we take, well, first here's the consortium. We have the Open University coordinating the project. Some partners familiar to people in the room. We have UPAE and iMinds. We also have the University of Patras from Greece, along with Giant, Trinity College Dublin, and NICTA from Australia. So what we're going to do is produce FIRE iBooks. It's a sort of caricature of the approach that we take. So I thought it easiest just to show you one. So we made a sample. So here's the books I have on this machine, and here's just a dummy book that we built in basically in a week. So we just took some materials out there, some on the web, some from our partners. So we have a preface. Here's an introduction to Forge. Here's a video you've already seen running. We just embedded it in there. So the idea is you can have very rich media and mix these together. We also took some material from Cisco. They have a video as well within their materials, which we took and embedded. You can have interactive components as well. Let me show you a couple. Here's a quiz. So these books, which you'll publish in the Apple bookstore, will be open educational materials. I'm hoping will be freely available for anyone to use for any uses that they wish. So we're going for a self-regulated learning approach where students can sit and learn on their own, as well as learning under tuition of some professor. We put is geared towards certain learning goals, and we embed quizzes. So here's a set of quizzes. You can answer the question, check, okay, that one was wrong, that one was right. That's the extent of my knowledge of the area. There are other interactive elements you can put in. So here's something on fiber optics. You can click on these, move around. Another thing that we did, this is basically, these pages can be HTML5. So you can have any HTML5 widgets in there. So we borrowed the web page from the Fed for Fire project. So this is the web page giving you the status of the FIRE resources. So that was the lookup that happened. So you embed. So the idea is that we want the students to have this rich interactive material with web pages that hook to FIRE facilities, so that they can read the page, play with some FIRE facilities, and go back to what they're looking at. I hope it gives you a flavor for what they're doing. So go back to my presentation. Okay. We have these Fed for Fire books. We're going to use linked data in Forge. It's one of the specialty research areas of Open University. So for those that know about linked data, we're going to be modeling up experiments, experimental methodologies, experimental results, and experimental facilities to make these findable by both educators and students online. Here's our current view of the architecture that we build. So there's various components I will highlight. We have these learning widgets, so the elements which will be interactive, go with the videos and other, say, quizzes and technical material, which may be hooked to some sort of FIRE facility. Linked to that, these widgets will fit into some sort of widget store. So think of something similar but a smaller scale than the Apple App Store, where people can just find these, take them, and embed them into their own iBooks. Our link to FIRE testbeds will be through Fed for Fire. You will have noticed that iMinds is a partner in Forge, also, of course, a prominent partner in Fed for Fire. And then in the middle, we have what we call the FIRE box, which that's described as an abstraction over the Fed for Fire APIs, which are e-learning specific. So to make it easier to connect widgets from learning books to the Fed for Fire APIs. I just gave you a quick outline of the courses that we're building. So these will be test courses to make sure what we're building from a methodological point of view, from an infrastructure point of view, usable. We invite to the resources that we build and build on and use. So from UPMC, they're going to connecting to the EIT ICT KIC Master School. They're hoping to attract, or they're going to be teaching 70 master students about client-server applications. From the University of Patras, they have an internal course for fourth-year undergrads on TCP congestion control. iMinds have an internal course on Wi-Fi facilities, teaching Wi-Fi to around 30 to 40 students. At the Open University, we have a strong connection to Cisco, and I met with them yesterday, so that they basically agreed to work with us. They have this Cisco Net Academy, where 1 million students go through every year, 850,000 students studying at any time, and this is based on the simulation tool called Packet Tracer. So we're going to be building an iBook for them, and then also a second book which will connect the Cisco material and Packet Tracer to the fire facility. So I think it'll be a great dissemination potential for the fire facilities. And then last, we have Trinity College Dublin. They have a course which will be using the TCD's wireless lab facilities to fifth-year undergrads, targeting 60 students. So that's all I wanted to say. Please contact me if you want to collaborate.
A question. Those projects and tests that are at the moment not federal set for fire, can they be involved or?
That's a good question. I mean, you know, if I had my way, yes, but I have to make sure that my colleagues agree with me. So.
Go that. I'm very fond of learning because that is my background.
This iBook, when will it be available? I would like to use it in my classes as well. It looks very interesting. You said it will be available, but when, more or less?
Next speaker will be. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you. Next speaker is Alexander Wilner for the Trestimo project. How do you say it? Ah, okay.
Okay, thank you very much. About half a year ago, I presented this proposal in the very same room. This month, we had the kickoff in South Africa, in Cape Town. So my name is Alexander Wilner, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of what we want to achieve with Trestimo or Trestimo, still an open issue, or open action item, how to pronounce it. So the general background of the motivation comes from, on the one side, from the smart city context. Some of you might know a lot of motivational stuff in this context. So cities are the engine of the future economic growth. They have 80% of the world's energy consumption, and in particular in areas like Africa, or more specifically South Africa, the urbanization will increase a lot. So there are needs for greener and smarter cities. So this motivation we had in mind at the beginning, and our approach here is to build a machine-to-machine communication-based reference architecture for greener and smarter cities on the one side, and on the other side we're going to build evaluation environments for smart cities, or for this reference architecture in particular, for federated experiments and for pilots. I'm going to talk about this. And we're doing this to foster the interconnection of the facilities in Europe and South Africa, and to use existing standards, in particular in the M2M/IoT context. So these are the motivation and our goals. Who's part of it? Euroscom TUB and Fraunhofer Focus from Germany. I took head and a small city close to Barcelona that I can't pronounce, and I am very bad with names. Anyway, this is our pilot city in Spain. And Airbase Limited, also from the more or less European side. And in South Africa, we're with UCT, University of Cape Town, and close to Johannesburg, again, another city that is going to be our pilot. I think I've written down the name in the other slide. CSIR and ESCOM. ESCOM is the power provider in Johannesburg, and CSIR is the research institute over there. So these are our 8 partners and 2 involved cities in the project. And the overall goal is divided into 2 aspects. We have some time later on. I have a more in picture. On the left side, we have the smart city context. We have the scenarios with the smart city applications. These are using smart city platforms, one from CSIR, the other one from I2CAT. These platforms are going to use standard protocols from the M2M context, using the Fraunhofer M2M platform, OpenMTC. And on the bottom, we have ESCOM with smart energy sensors for one use case, and I2CAT with air-based systems with air pollution sensors on the other side. So on the left side, this is how we are defining our architecture and where we test our use cases. On the other side, we're going to have 2 federated testbeds, one in Berlin, the other one at UCT, and where we're doing more, let's say, scientific research, scalability experiments, and so on. And in parallel, we have the 2 pilots, one in, let's see, Gauteng in South Africa, and the other one is San Vicente del Ors. Is someone from Spain here? More or less. Okay, wonderful. So this is the overall architecture idea approach of Trestimo. Yeah, involves testbed, as I said, TUB with an M2M testbed controlled by our federation framework FitEagle, and another one at the University of Cape Town using the very same framework. So this is for the federated experiments, and the pilots are missing. Why? Maybe I can open the PDF file. Oh, the image cannot display it. Let's see. Where can I find it? Oh, okay. Mac user. No? Anyway, that's... Thank you, wonderful. Command F on the Mac. Pilots. Here we are. Again, on the left side, airbrace systems are limited with the sensors, I2CAT with their smart city platform, and the Spanish small city, and ESCOM with the power utility as a power utility provider and according sensors. This other city got Ting and CSIR as our research partner in South Africa. So what do we expect as an outcome? I mean, we just started today, and later on, if you want to look at our website, it's not online yet. Yeah, more capacity and choice for researchers in both regions. So we're going to have an open testbed in Europe and South Africa. Opportunity for future work, of course. In particular with UCT, we're exchanging students' ideas and hopefully later on some more experiments. Yeah, options for industry involvement. It was very important for us and most of the partners that we're going to use standard interfaces for the M2M context, as well as in the file context, also more or less standardized protocols, namely FRCP and SFA. Seamless access to different environments, so we are going to be open for FIRE partners to use the facilities. Validation and sustainability of European solutions in global markets. In particular, our South African partners were happy to receive some technical input from the European side. And of course, our Spanish partners, I2CAT, were in particular interested in some real aggregated data from real pilots to work on more optimized control algorithms for smart city, for their smart city platform. So this is mainly the focus from I2CAT. Yeah, basically that's it. If you have some questions, I have some more spare slides to give you more details. But basically, this trashimo. Okay, thank you.
Probably we come back when we talk more collaboration. So we move to the CSAs, and the first is Chao. No, Monique, sorry. Oh, maybe you find it.
So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Monique Calisti, and I'm here to present you a few slides about eChow. eChow is a CSA that has started about 6 months ago, last summer, and I will give you a little bit more details about the context. First of all, it's trying to create a bridge. So Chao in Chinese means bridge. So we're trying really to bridge these two so different and so far away communities that are both having quite common interests, Europe and China. And to do so, we put together a consortium which has 7 partners. We have 3 Chinese and 4 European partners. And what we're trying to do, as you will see in a second, is to create this bridge. We have a portal, we have a website where you can find a number of information. You can actually join the community so that you are in touch with us and also with events that are being organized in order to promote closer interactions. So as you can imagine, China is moving in many directions, and they are very active also in the area of future internet technologies. In particular, they have large-scale deployment based on IPv6, and they have invested a lot in the last few years. Martel, my company, has been involved in a number of initiatives. It happened to really fit into the idea of creating stronger liaisons with the European partners that are active there. Because in our opinion, there's a number of things that we can learn, because they've done much larger scale deployments of especially IPv6-based testbeds. And therefore, we thought there's going to be mutual benefits out of these synergies that we can create. And the main objectives can be summarized as follows. First of all, as you can imagine, to look into interoperability aspects and standardization aspects is something that is being discussed now for several years, but still didn't find a final solution. There are several pushes, several industry factors pulling in several directions, but the idea is that through a joint research effort, maybe there's going to be an easier chance to have the de facto standardization coming up and diffusing. Then the idea was also to create stronger synergies between the academic research and the industrial world. There's a number of Chinese companies or Chinese industries and academic groups that would be interested and keen in collaborating with European consortia and initiatives. Then in particular, from a more technical point of view, ICAO is focusing on deployment of IPv6-based testbeds. Then the idea was also to really create also partnership and also to foster new collaboration for upcoming calls, for upcoming proposals, for upcoming testbeds. In particular, what we think are the planned outcomes and impacts out of this kind of activity. It's first of all, one of the targets is to identify 5 common topics for EU-China cooperation on the fire field. Then to demonstrate at least 2 interoperable solutions during related events through standards developing organizations. These relate, of course, these all relate to the objectives that I mentioned before. So set up of a common, this time, EU-China IPv6 pilot, and also to have some more concrete collaboration at the level of support desk services through a common platform. And finally, we expect, or we hope, we foresee to generate some concrete impact at the socio-economic level, meaning to create channels and communications facilities will also help SMEs in Europe to get contacts in China and possibly to benefit also from an economic point of view. So there is a portal. You can join it. You will be in touch with the community that is organizing events and that is following up on a number also of so the portal is Chinese and English. So the good thing is that we wanted to target at the same time both the communities, and the idea is really to facilitate the enlargement of professional and social networks, to facilitate also partnering and networking toward China, toward Asia, because then often it's not only China, but of course there is an avalanche effect out of that. And then, of course, you can contribute to discussion on hot topics, get support from worldwide known experts on IPv6, and exploit the wiki workspace to collaborate with the other community members. So the idea is really to have networking, information, and to create a sort of collective intelligence environment where interested researchers sharing common objectives can get together and better work together. So I leave you with the URL and the contacts about the project. As I said, it started about 6 months ago. There's a lot of work to be done. And as you can imagine, the cultural differences and the distance are some of the key challenges for us. But we created a quite synergetic team, and the collaboration is being quite effective so far. So for the Chinese questions, I cannot help, but... Thank
you. A question to the audience. Is there anyone in the current project that has Chinese relations in the consortium? I know for ERIC, but are there others? Oh, okay. So, Seafire, Milan Gupta. Please.
Good afternoon. My name is Milan Gupta from Euroscom. I am the coordinator of CI-FIRE. CI-FIRE is a coordination and support action that has one central goal. We want to support making the fire facilities sustainable. That's our main purpose. So how do we want to achieve that? We have a couple of objectives. We want to first analyze the sustainability potential of the fire facilities. Then, based on this analysis, we want to develop an experimental-driven innovation business framework template that will serve as an input for the actual implementation of a sustainable business model scenario. So for actually having a model implementation, we have chosen the EIT-ICT labs as a partner for this. So that's already mentioned in presentations before. So this is the knowledge and innovation community of the European Institute of Technology. So we are specifically coordinating these activities with the nodes in Paris and Berlin. So we have, through partners, direct links to the EIT-ICT labs, and there's also a mirror project, I would call it, on the side of EIT-ICT labs, which is more or less trying the same that we are trying in the fire area on the side of EIT-ICT labs. So in fact, we are basically with two projects working on the same issue of trying to find ways to make experimental facilities, fire facilities, sustainable, meaning to find ways to, and models to actually make them either commercially or non-commercially available in the longer term. Now, this is just, I don't want to go into this, just for you to know what's our work plan. So we have work packages on the innovation and business framework. Then that's page 3 on, that's the core of the EIT-ICT labs collaboration, which is led by UPMC. And then finally, we are also engaging in cross-community communication and industry engagement in order to bring the communities together. Basically, what we call the supply side, that would be basically us, the fire facilities, and on the other hand, the demand side, the users. And of course, in two-way markets, there can be overlaps between demand and supply there, of course. Now, words about the specific collaboration with EIT-ICT labs, so how we actually do that. Now, we have, as I mentioned, the specific liaison with the Fantastic project, as it is called. This one started in August last year already. CI-FIRE started in October last year. CI-FIRE is going for 18 months. So it's a very short and focused project, actually. And we want to achieve what we want to achieve in a relatively short time. In the collaboration with EIT-ICT labs, what is important in that time frame is that we synchronize the activities, so which we are doing through communication and
exchange of schedules with them, and important also something where everybody here, I hope, will find a chance to get involved. We will organize joint events. Let me come to that. So concretely, we will, in the next few months, we will organize or participate in organizing 3 major events. There will be a pre-FIA workshop on the evolution of fire facilities, service and collaboration strategies for sustainability, which we will jointly organize with the Support Actions Amplifier and Fusion. And there we will also have specific dedicated slots for discussing the collaboration with EIT ICT labs and discuss between the fire community and potential users of fire facilities different models for sustainable use of the facilities. Then we will have, well, we asked for it, so this is under discussion. There's the EIT ICT Labs workshop in Berlin on the 8th and 10th of April, where we are also planning to get involved, where we will, together with Amplify and Fantastic, plan to lead a session, a joint session. And then finally, there's the CI Fire workshop on 27th of June in Paris. This is still in planning, but mark your calendar. We will provide more information on this event. The partners, Ruscom is the coordinator. Then we will have the Technical University of Berlin, who have a very good link to the EIT ICT Labs node in Berlin. We have Martel, who are mainly leading the event planning plus the analysis in work package 2. We have for dissemination and community engagement, we have Trust IT Services as a partner. And then finally, as a 5th partner, we have University Pierre-Marie Curie, UPMC, who have a very direct link to both EIT ICT Labs nodes in Paris and in Berlin. And so you see this is an experienced consortium which hopefully will, together with all of you, will achieve the objective of finding ways to make the facilities sustainable. The final result of that project will not just be having shown concrete collaboration via EIT ICT Labs. What we plan is to take that as a blueprint that can be utilized by basically any fire facility that's planning to become sustainable. And if you have questions, please contact me, or also have a look at the website where you will find more information. There's not too much yet, I have to warn you, but there will be more in the near future. Thank you. Any questions immediately? Otherwise, I'm happy to answer them afterwards.
I have one.
Yes, please.
Forge, I think you said that you had relation with EIT ICT Labs as well on education. Am I right there? Okay, because I know from EIT ICT Labs, education is one pillar, and maybe we could think of this in discussions also between Amplifier and CI Fire. I was thinking for the day in Berlin in April, maybe, but we can discuss that for the education, as they have summer schools and that education purpose there. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, they will be there also from ICT Labs. So. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's good that we, through the session, that we find out the cross relationship. I knew that UPMC had this collaboration with EIT ICT Labs on education, but what I didn't know was that they were involved in this project. So that's really good to learn. So see all the little arrows going here and there between the projects. But I think it was another question.
Yeah, I have been involved
Mike. I haven't been involved in conversations between Amplifier and Xifire, but I couldn't help noticing that both projects have a work package 3 called Collaboration Models for Fire. And I just wondered what the relationship is between the two projects. I also couldn't help noticing that in Amplifier, I'm being given a questionnaire to engage with industry to understand what their requirements are, and you have a workshop to engage with industry to understand what the requirements for fire was. And these are just two examples that have just jumped out at me. So I don't, what are we doing here?
And maybe I can answer that directly, and I would also like Hans to answer that. These have been exactly the questions that we have been discussing for probably 2 months. Joel, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but this was exactly what we were doing after we had seen both Amplifier and CI Fire having, of course, industry engagement in their portfolios. So, well, we have the distinction is that we will focus very much on implementing a very specific case of collaboration and industry engagement through EIT ICT labs, which is, I think, a bit different in focus and depth than the more overall and generic analysis and exploration exercise that I think is being done in Amplifier. And what we also promise to the Commission and are actually doing in day-to-day work is that Hans, myself directly, and other players in both projects are permanently communicating to find and synergies. However, the approach, although the titles in the work package descriptions may look and sound a bit similar, the way we approach the work is, I think, slightly different here. So,
yeah, I mean that's all well and good, but it sounds to me that these are specifically the things that the Fire Forum should be talking about. It shouldn't just be behind. I mean, how we approach industry. You know, the Xifire, keep saying Xifire, that's a different project. The Xifire approach and the Amplifier approach. You know, how we're approaching collaboration models. How can these things be complementary and contribute to a greater thing, rather than trying to hit all the same actors with the questions 100 times over. It's not easy, because I understand that these two projects were developed separately and independently in their own description of work, so there's no easy answers, but I think getting it on the table and discussing it in the forum must be done.
Yes, I fully agree with you. I mean, we need to coordinate there, and I mean, we discussed it in the morning in the steering board discussion that that we need this area also for coordination in order to find the ways we can create synergies, and I think through that we will make a step forward. But for us, the main focus is really not just do a good analysis. We really want to have hands-on results at the end of it. So, and this is, I think, where CI Fire is a bit different from previous support actions in that area. Otherwise, I think we do, especially as we have a very small budget and time frame, our intention is not to reinvent a lot of the things that have been analyzed in a number of support actions and other projects on business models and so on. So actually what we do is we take what's there, view it, of course, see what is practical, and then directly implement it in the collaboration with EIT ICT labs. So that is the, let's say, hands-on practical approach we are taking there, and based on that, on experience we receive from the collaboration with EIT ICT labs, we feed that back into the model and see what works, what doesn't work, what have we learned, where can we improve things. Because having a model on paper is one thing, but having it implemented and then analyzing it and drawing conclusions and then creating a blueprint that others can use, that's a totally different story, I think.
can add to that, as I am the task leader of collaboration for Amplify, that we work very closely, and here it is also related to CFIRE and ICT labs, but there are other bodies to communicate and collaborate with. So in interaction, we can also come up with a scalable model for more relations. So I guess, Michael, that there will be the industrial questions that you got now was mainly for not related to EIT labs. It was more about industrial relation as a whole. So, but of course we are overlapped, and our organization is actually partner of the ICT labs. So we really want to help up in this because of that. So.
Fortunately, some of these subtleties are lost on me.
Hans, do you want to say something on this?
Yeah, but only very few words, because we had these discussions in the past already. I mean, we were responding to the same call text. Amplifier was in an earlier call, and we are having a quite good exchange and collaboration with both the Commission and with SciFi and us. SciFi is focusing more on EIT ICT labs anyway. We are, as you said, we are having a wide, so we are also looking to Jean, to FIP, to other initiatives, other entities as well. So let's make the best out of this situation and keep the communication going. That's all what I can say. I think we are on the right track. We are organizing joint meetings. So what to say more? I don't think that it's very useful. We have to make more progress here.
Thank you. So the last CSA is CFIMS Connect. Jim Clark, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clark from Waterford IT. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this, Lannis and Anika and Geraldine and Hans, even before CFIMS Connect is starting on the 1st of March. So, so let me give a brief description of what the objectives of the project are. Quite simply three. First is support the European Future Internet Forum of member states and associated states by providing a secretariat and support of the activities of the fifth. So it's in that regard, it's quite similar to what you probably heard of before, the CFIMS project. So it's very similar there. In addition to that, we're supporting member state initiatives, their future internet, specifically activities and initiatives, and facilitating information sharing and providing support to what's called the national FI chapters. So one of the outputs of CFIMS that was quite positive was the setting up or the process of forming national FI chapters, which began and has been done in a number of the member states. So what CFIMS is doing is working closely with the European Commission and the member states in trying to facilitate this to be done in more member states. So that the models that have been done already, and then roll these out into other member states, and facilitating through things like having memorandums of understanding, terms of references, and infrastructural changes that have to take place in order to facilitate this these national FI chapters. And then undertake targeted dissemination activities to publicize what's going on in both the member states and likewise between the FIRE community in the EU. There's four partners ourselves. There's the Ministry of Education and Science in Portugal, namely the Portuguese Research Council Department, AMITEC, which is the Spanish ICT Industry Association, which is a bridge between the industry and the government, and the Poznan Supercomputing and Networking Center, which is a center of excellence in infrastructures in RTD. In terms of the activities, I've just jotted a couple of them here. So Work Package 2 is specific support to the European Future Internet Forum, so continuing that support similar to what we were doing in CFINS, and that's being led by FCT, the Ministry of Education and Science in Portugal. So within this we have, we'll be providing their secretariat, so working closely with the Commission in organizing their meetings, which will be held in conjunction with the FIA events as it has been in the past. And also the web portal, obviously. Then in Work Package 3, we're facilitating information sharing and support, and also identifying opportunities where the EU community and the national initiatives, projects, and communities could potentially work together. So we'll be calling on the support of the projects when we see these opportunities. We will be able to raise these with both yourselves and with the what's going on in the national initiatives. And then Work Package 4 was led by Poznan. There's raising awareness and the usual dissemination activities. In terms of the identified stakeholders, there's primarily two. There's the European Future Internet Forum, so providing them with the secretariat. There's going to be an advisory board set up, and we will support this advisory board. It's made up principally of members, champions, as we call them, from the current Future Internet Forum, and providing the web portal. Then the national FI initiatives as well, so providing the support of those, helping them to, as I said, roll out national FI actors, according to a particular structure, if that can be done in the various member states. In terms of the expected impact and outcome, so we're supporting of this framework for more strategic alignment between the national member states, so it's member states to member states, and also member states to EU with regard to FI projects and initiatives. And then through the Secretariat, we'll work closely with the Future Internet Forum and the European Commission in development of strategies for promoting greater alignment in the future Internet activities, and the follow-up investment priorities and both national and EU levels. And then, as I mentioned before, support and development of the national FIF chapters to ensure that the agencies involved will have visibility of activities in other countries and also an EU framework to ensure more cost-effective investments and sharing of information. So, as I mentioned before, we will be calling on the projects to work together with these with the actors and with the other activities going on in the countries. Key contacts: I'm going to be the project manager, and my colleague Willie Donnelly, who you know probably from CFINS, will be the project coordinator as well. But I'll be doing the more hands-on work. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe you said it, but has the project started or no?
1st of March.
1st of March. Okay.
In terms of the website, it will more than likely be the regular CFINS website, which is cfims.eu. Okay.
Thank you. So now we move to the floor is open to talk about collaboration opportunities and expectations and ideas for what we should do together for the future, and well, things we believe that we can do joint efforts around. So we discussed a bit regarding this with the education, and the Forge was one place where it raised questions from other initiatives. And they had the collaboration model and the relation between the DCSAs. Please, Mila.
Well, maybe I can ask a question to all the project have facilities in regard to their plans for sustainability beyond the lifetime of the project, which is at the core of what we want to do. So I would be really interested in, while we're all here, that's the best opportunity, I guess, to have a first round of a little discussion on what the ideas and plans of the other projects are on being sustainable. So and, I would be very curious to know, and later on I would of course forward this discussion then to my colleagues in the respective packages who will enter a more intense discussion. But as a just first, let's say, brainstorming on what the ideas are, would be very curious.
Any volunteer? Yes, please.
Yeah, I can volunteer. So yeah, I'm fine. We have a testbed which is called Community Lab, and we were working on an initial document last year, and then one of the tasks in the project is about the analysis of both the sustainability in general of the testbed, but also the combination of the testbed and the players. We work in community networks, and the community networks themselves, they also have a sustainability issue. So we are looking at the social, legal, environmental aspects which affect sustainability also of the test. So I suppose it's like it can be similar to other projects. I mean, if you contact them, they can explain you which aspects and how they are dealing with sustainability. Because I think it was like a requirement somehow to go in the proposals.
Maybe I should formulate the question in much simpler English now. So the question is, forget the words like sustainability. Will your testbed be available after your project has closed? And under which conditions? Have you thought about that?
Exactly. I mean, the main part of that task is to determine the best way, or the way by which the testbed will serve the project. For instance, that's why the test has a different name from the project, because we want to separate the lifetime of a project and the work in the project from the testbed. People is interested in the testbed, not in the things we do generally. So yeah, so that's critical. It's not easy. It depends very much just on the users, but also on maintain how do you add the resource. I mean, testbed. So it's not simply just website. You need money, development, maintenance, and resources, and it's really a challenge.
Let me add on that. I mean, we see our job not only in asking those nasty questions. I mean, CI-FIRE also to provide technical help and support in answering those questions. So I would offer you, if you to that point in discussing sustainability, exploitation, and so on, then please come back to us because we do all those models, everything, and can give you the menu, what is available and what options you would have, and you wouldn't have to reinvent this, and we can also at some point in time feedback the insights from the EISC Labs discussion. I think this is what it's all about. We just don't want to assist, but we want to really help Leandro and us to really point where they get testbed sustain and not just talk about it.
Yeah, I can talk from experience from the Bonfire project, where I led the Sustainability Act in that project. It work package on business models and sustainability. Came into action from the start, but really began to influence the project after about 18 months, where we set up a Sustainability Impact Board, which was effectively the thing that governed the project from that point on, so that things we did in the contributed to the various transition periods to go through. We identified 2 transition periods. Actually, there were 3 transition periods. So we went from internal tests to open calls, another when we went from open calls to open access, and another one when we went from open access to after the project. And these transition periods change. What this is really about is changing the relationship that we have with experimenters, which is the customers. As part of this activity, we went from the qualitative assessment of different models through value chains to quantitative cost modeling, where we looked at the cost of how to operate a facility based on an annualized cost, and we operated, the stuff that you have in a cost model, including all the hardware resources, the developer resources, the operations, and we came up with a number, how much it would cost per year to keep the thing running. We also set up, at the end of the project, an exploitation agreement between a subset of the partners to keep the services going, and that exploitation included commitments from the partners in best effort. They're responsible to anyone, but it was an agreement underneath what we've called Fire Foundation, and as a consequence, the services are operational after the end of the project, based on the contributions in kind from the partners in the project. And yeah, so now we're 2 months after the end of the project, and we're still releasing open access as we were at the end of the project. Now, whether it is sustainable over the long term is another question, but we do have commitment for a further year from the partners in the consortium. But at the end of the day, it will be about attracting revenues either from public funding or from commercial operations to keep the show on the road.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing that experience, which I think is a positive story or a story, and for me it shows the real challenge. I think it's already a big achievement to keep testbeds running on a best effort basis after the project is over, because it basically would mean that the partners will really, upon their own cost, continue that without any real revenue, if I understand correctly. Now, you cannot sustain, that's the word sustainability again, you cannot sustain this for a long time, because your organizations will run out of options and money if they continue doing that. And this is exactly the point where the discussion about what more you really try to implement will become really, really serious, and you have to decide on if you could be a commercial model where you aren't paying customers. You think this can run as a sort of power infrastructure, but then even then would have to mobilize public funding. You could also see that as a customer. Then you must have one customer, the public, that through some state aid would finance it. But in any case, you would need to have a customer. If you commercial offering, you would have to fulfill a lot of also requirements that go way best effort. Because if I want to test my product on your facility, which I later want to sell, or application I may have, then I certainly won't accept best effort on your side. So then I will higher demands to quality, and so there's a whole load of requirements involved in that step. Some maintaining it on a best effort basis to really making it sustainably run in the longer term on some sort of business model. Includes a business plan which goes beyond the analysis and scheme of factors. Cost is one element in the whole equation, but then on the other hand you need realistic projects on demand, and these be really based on expression interests of real customers. So there's a lot that needs to be done, and it's clear that in a research project that first is earned with developing the testing facility. This is not the priority. However, as you nicely described, this has to become a focus, a line of thinking early on. If you later on want to become sustainable. So you cannot just, like I've seen a couple of projects, 3 months at the end of the project, think, oh yeah, we have some results, so let's see how we use them and exploit them later on. That works, so you have to really start that early on. I think that is really important, your experience there, and we can have a discussion later on and explore a little bit what options you would have and how we could interact on that, and how you could benefit from the results we will have.
We have first here, and then please, Mikko.
Yeah, just a quick comment to throw in another perspective into this. I mean, if the participants in a project that has just cannot find a model to find enough revenue for maintaining what has already been built, then is it worth keeping alive? I mean, we're kind of in the previous discussions of the implicit assumption that it must be alive. It may not be economically sustainable, feasible. Just the fact that we have sunken costs doesn't mean that then more costs would need to be sunk in there just to keep it alive. So, but all the points you raised, yeah, absolutely valid. In the these should think about that before the finishes, and then markets will tell. Also the let's say the commercial model or free market model doesn't preclude public money from being the source flowing in through a purely let's say arm's length commercial agreement thing going forward.
Okay, so I can talk iMinds testbed. So we have 2 testbeds, the virtual, which is physical servers, and the wireless testbed. So I think that to make a difference between hardware of a testbed and APIs on top of it. So the hardware, if you look at getting sustainable in a commercial way, so saying that everyone who uses it pays for it and that it pays it back, you make a spin-off company of it. So if you can make money with a testbed, you can create just a company. So that means iMinds we cannot make money, but the test itself is funded by governance. So that's the hardware. And I think so that iMinds did exist before we used them in projects. I think they will also exist after they have stopped, just because only we do use the testbeds ourselves, and it has a ground of internal use that we saw we need these resources. We can make it to make a testbed with tools and with people all using the same kind of things, and instead of 2 people having 10 machines and they're on holiday for 1 month, the machines are doing nothing. We make one pool of 20, and people can use what they so one they can larger experiments using old PCs, and B they can if someone is today a third person can use it. So that is how testbeds start iMinds. And then the second part is APIs. So a testbed typically has the software to configure it. It probably also an API so you can use it. And getting a federation or interoperability with other testbeds is on the level of APIs. So that means, for instance, if we took the virtual, which was already used at the site in the Bonfire project, developed on top a wrapper which spoke the Bonfire API. So what's the problem with sustainability APIs? So if Bonfire stop, well, it has stopped, but is in a sustainability mode. So now we have still some people running so a wrapper around. So the server which is runs wrapper API, there's a bug or problem. Bonfire does also testing on that API. If that's no one will keep maintaining that API, I think. So I think the sustainability thing of APIs, getting them standardized. So in Fit for Fire, for instance, we standardized on one API, the Azure API, and now is already compatible with this. But now we are in an effort to get it standardized really between US and Europe. And in that way, you have a sustainable thing as one, as a tool developer, I know if I see that API, I can talk a lot of testbeds, and vice versa. As a testbed, if I implement that API, I know already that tools which can speak to it. So I think these are the visions on sustainability.
Thank you. Please.
So I agree with the comments. We are at the very beginning of the project, but we started discussing this also to go beyond the end of the project, the major effort, what we are doing in Sartre. So we want, of course, the development or the concept to be later on. So our approach has been a bit more institutional. So on one side, there is an activity, for instance, within, there is kind of going fund, finding a interest with respect to what we're doing, the maintenance of the La Spezia deployment. Then, for instance, University of Porto deployment, there have been a lot of contacts already in months with the Port Authority, and we are trying to account for their needs in order to have authority that later on can and maintain the and this is part of the thing. So in the deployments, at least the measurements that are already there, not the ones building, we are trying to create a local ecosystem that is in using and accounting for their requirements in order that really provide something useful for them, and they will pay for the cost of maintaining the testbed later on. The second approach is that maybe that we would like to also, we are starting discussing with some people that, for instance, large-scale, account-wide deployments, maybe for experimental purposes. And that would be maybe different, that we do not maintain our own deployment, but we port our deployment to something that is funded by country. So this is what, along the lines of what we were discussing right now. Very preliminary ideas, if along the, and we would be interested in discussing that with you.
Thank you. So here we heard some good practices. Maybe we also have bad, but we can maybe keep them till later. There are, of course, when it comes to sustainability. I can also say from European Network of Living Labs, and our Botnia Living Lab, we started in '95, I think, and we are live. But one key from us has been that we need it ourselves. So we have the iMinds model, I would say, in combination with other ways of getting incomes. So, but we are non-profitable, so we are not, how to say, we are not earning money from it. We are offering it to SMEs, the bigger industries that pays. So there are also models outside the, how to say, the testbed, the traditional test arena. Yeah. Okay, shall we move to some other joint topic?
About this, I think, in a way, any kind of specific sustainability solution or case will build up upon a critical mass of adopters, of users of the test. So I think one should step back and think, what can we do to make sure that there is a critical amount of users for the test beds that is not necessarily the same typical participants into the project. And this is something that is now related also to the FPPP test beds. And so I think an interesting question, something that we try to ask also when doing some of the portfolios analysis for FIRE in the last years, was to try to understand what the projects are doing in order to make sure that there is an uptake of the activities. Because in a way you cannot create a strong business case in any direction if you don't have a lettre, which is if you don't have enough use. So I think that one of the lessons that we learned, or at least when I look back at the fire station, at the amplifier, analysis portfolios that we have done, I think one of the core messages, besides what Michael said, that there's different kinds of situations in which partners might be more or less willing to keep on going after the end of the project. The key point is, are there potential customers? Are there deployers? Are there people that use those test beds? If the answer is yes, I think there's going to be different kind of sustainability models and business models that will create out of it. but upfront the project should really do an effort in trying to uptake of the beds. And this is a little bit, in my opinion, one of the critical aspects that both fire but also FIPP test beds and experimental facilities are facing. And so the question, in my opinion, is also how do we make sure that SMEs, maybe Horizon 2020 is going in that direction, but how can we make sure that these facilities become appealing for companies, for SMEs, for potential customers to be deployed? And I think it's not.
Yes, I think Monique is asking a very good question, but I think we should also mind whether this critical and whether this number, because when we ask the facilities that organize open calls and we see the statistics from the open calls, we see there has always been more interest in the capacity offered for open calls. And when we open access to the facility, again, there is a lot of interest. But I think a very important question is whether these are paying customers or funded customers, customers who want to pay the facility, or customers who want to receive money from the facility. Because critical mass is one question, but also the model behind is also quite interesting. I'm sure most of our facilities would have critical mass and a sufficient interest. Most, I'm not saying all, but most of them would. But in order to have a sustainable model, you have to take into account also the who's paying question.
I can add one thing that also comes to learnability and those things. It takes for a company to start using facilities. And that is an investment. And as the market of test bed is rather unknown around us, it means also that we first need to convince that there is a value and they have to invest to know what there can be. So we are still probably in I don't know, but there is some kind of steps in we haven't really probably to reach the critical mass. There is, of course, and as we have many projects now, we can help up to make the test bed. No, I mean test bed is actually a where you can use as companies and also outside say the traditional users. So I think we have much to there. Milan.
I think this is going into the same direction that I wanted to express an answer to Nick. I fully agree that this is indeed the demand, and especially, as Nico says, the paying demand that will finally be make or break for the sustainability, long-term sustainability. Now, what we tend to overlook a little bit there is that we cannot just sort of dump the test beds as they are on the customers, and this is going into the direction that you were mentioning. You really need to shape the test bed, and this is a whole package. It's not the hardware, it's just not just the API, it's not even just a little service around it, it's the whole package that will be something to be offered to a customer, and the packaging is part of the test bed facility offering. And I think we need to start early investing a lot of work into what this package would be, so that it could be appealing to certain potential customers. And if you think about, let's just Apple throwing some phone at us, has a touch screen, but it's not much. So would you be buying a phone? Probably not. So if it doesn't have the right support and so on. So what I'm saying is the successful products, and we're talking nothing less here, they are coming in a whole package. So I think we have to more in terms of a service package that customers would expect, rather than single elements that we currently call a test bed, like some server where something is running on, or maybe plus an API or something. So I think we need to adapt a little bit our framework of thinking here.
Please.
I want to add also from IMAN's perspective again, that we also realized that I think for a year or two we've been on really getting models that total packages and not just say have this hardware, but saying you can use our testbeds to get this done. And there we also offer this for people to set together with companies and help them in setting experiments. And now we see that some success with this, so we have a couple of paying customers already, and this seems to increase as people get more aware about what can be done. And typically what we see is that at the beginning they are not able to run experiments themselves, but if they come back, do something themselves because they know what to do, or for example they have their experiments there and they can just adapt it. So indeed that's the way to move forward. It seems to work.
Yeah, one addition, and I fully support what John has been saying, that we actually are now pushing for more an amplifier. This idea of service is very important, and also how the service is offered. It's even not efficient. I mean, we had the testbed as a project, but that's the offering. Then service, but even that's not the, because how is the service being offered? How is it being maintained and so on? It needs some thinking. And would it be service at testbed level, or would different testbeds somehow? What is it, what we sometimes, the service portfolio, the service, that is not all too clear. And it is not so clear because it's also not so clear what companies expect. And that's even the biggest issue, that we need to go into expectations of companies. If they hear something about fire, what would they expect from fire to deliver? What kind of services are they willing to, are they find important for them? And then, I mean, it looks like the different, some of the are already quite far in that. But shouldn't we also look at the combination of testbeds that we have? Maybe Fed for Fire is going that direction, because that is much more in terms of what different testbeds that are being federated could offer to particular customers. But summarize, I think we should also think about that level of different testbeds that are somehow combined in offering their service. And then the process of offering, services.
We're back to this. We need to teach the market in a way. I mean that we need to take that as the responsibility as well to get us known, because that means also that the users can also have an impact on their services. So what we could offer, yeah. So arms, hands here.
Maybe shortly think about, discuss about API, critical mass of users for testbeds. As I have been in several events promoting FHIR, last summer it's FUNEM. We had a discussion with Siemens Networks at that time, now it's Nokia Solutions Networks, Ericsson guys, and they said that they can't use FHIR testbeds because of more or less proprietary implementation of APIs. So the APIs, they really need to be open, standardized. That is the really must before they can really wide audience and wide variety of experiments. That was feedback from companies.
May I ask, in connection to that, regarding the standardization and APIs, is that something that is common in many projects that is how to say, prioritized, or can we have some experience shared between projects that has more knowledge on that?
In Fed for Fire, it's a very important part, because if you talk about federation, you're talking about the same APIs. So for us it is. And we do also look to the US and other parts.
Good to know for many, I think. And some more shared interest.
To your questions, part of a lot of different
We done. Okay. You talked about the connection with amplifier and the ICT labs, and know that not only bonfire, so inflatable fire, sustainability is a big issue or a big topic. First, they are concentrating, for example, on FSM. So where is the connection between CI fire and FSM, if there is any? And second one, what about the connection to the FIPP? For example, the offering in XIFI with federated nodes. I think there are a lot of different ideas on how to be self-sustainable. I think there could be interesting information between these two, FIPP and fire on the other side. So first question, FEDSM, second one, FIPP. What's the plan there?
Okay, answer on the first one, no, not as far as I'm aware of, which doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's just my limited knowledge. Maybe there is some I wouldn't be aware of right now. So the question on the connection to the FIPP is quite interesting. So we have in our description of work, we have a little section where we want to indeed explore the cross relationships and connections and opportunities with FIPP. What has struck me as weird for the whole time is indeed that the fire infrastructure area and the FIPP infrastructure area and the fire area have been, let's say, running in parallel without any, let's say, official connection. So I think we need to make more effort in finding out what is there or possible in terms of collaboration. So what we intend to do is to figure out and to find out these opportunities through interaction, mainly at workshops, and see if we can find connection points there. We do not want to force it. However, we think at least it's worthwhile exploring, although it's not at focus of what we do. So I think a connection point, as we are working closely with EIT-ICT Lab, the FIPP also has a collaboration agreement with EIT-ICT Lab. So far as I know, this has been more a goodwill action so far, so something where people shook hands and sign an MOU or something like that. However, it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. If we can identify concrete topics, as most of you may know, Euroscom and myself, we are also directly involved in the FIPP. So Euroscom is also a partner in the XIFI project. So we, through us and other partners who are involved both in the fire area and in especially XIFI, we can ensure that these connections can be made. What we cannot do is force collaborations where they may not be reasonable or possible. I think we will make an effort to explore them, and it's definitely on our agenda.
Thank you. Coming to that also, from Amplify and collaboration, it would be good if here we heard where you have relation with FIPP at Euroscom, like on both sides, and it's the same with the ICT labs, where there are organizations within FIRE that are on both sides. So these organizations can actually be bridged, and we have defined within Amplify that from FIRE it's really important in finding where we should continue the collaboration and new opportunities. So I highlight to all projects that if you see that there is a relation that you have that can have relevance on both sides, that we can from Amplify support to really continue with and to really facilitate that it creates even more outside, not only between projects but also outside. So please contact me. Working on many different opportunities at the moment, so open to even more. So, yes.
the comments that were just made on this topic have referred to using some of the national programs for sustainability models. So it just struck me that this could be a good theme for the information sharing between the national initiatives and the EU side. So it could be something that CFINET could link in with CI Fire and Amplifier, and the projects on the other side with the national programs and funding items going on. Because the hardest part is finding out what is available, when it's available, and then marry that with the projects that are going to be looking for sustainability 12 months, let's say. So if we can get those married together, it could really be a huge benefit.
It's still open for one more topic before break. Oh.
Yeah, there were mentioned a couple of things that we need to think of, also in terms of the wider community forum. But for example, to strengthen cross relations, it was mentioned in the beginning. That's quite an interesting topic. In different projects, be comparable issues that are being explored. So how to make that visible, and could the portal play a role there? Is it playing a sufficient role? It's also an issue for the new projects that they could reflect on or could have thoughts about. And most of the new projects are already part of the FIRE community, as far as I can see. It's new, but still the question remains: what do these projects? What could they expect from the FIRE community in terms of overall support, communication, and so on? So these might still be issues that we might discuss if there's time. A few minutes.
What are the expectations?
So the question is, what are their expectations, or what can we offer already? So with several people here, we are coordinating an action which is called Fusion, and our main objective is to attract as many SMEs as possible to use your testbeds. So as soon as you have an open call, then we can organize extra webinars. We have newsletters, and at the same time, for us it's interesting to be in touch with you so that we can share best practices from other test beds on how they did it to attract more SMEs, etc. So probably for the newcomers or for anyone who's interested, we can talk about it later on today.
Dear offer, thank you. From the demand side, how to say, the new projects, listening now to your presentations, also from others, is it something that you have in your mind just right now that you believe is of importance to find support from others, or for sharing, or for, well, help? Anyone?
The collaboration with Pet for Fire, which isn't, I think, some emails, so this is also. And in general, we see opportunities, even if not direct, based on what I've seen and what I know. We think that we are related in a global monitoring of a smart city environment with the different Internet of Things related projects, and we take the opportunity to kind of throw the ball on their side and see if they're interested in collaborating. And there are many different interesting opportunities to develop ideas of how to exploit our and disseminate the ideas associated to our project that are more to the CSA. So I think we simply need to kind of find an effective way to exchange information and to see how to collaborate.
Okay. Maybe we are done now, I think. We need a break, and we have still more to do. And there will be this dissemination working group starting at 4:30, so 10 minutes from now. So I thank you all, and especially the presenters, but all of you that has been here now. So please take the chance when you drink coffee to talk to everybody, at least 2 more. Thank you.